Hey guys, I'm Dr. William Summers, and I want to thank you again for watching this 5th video in my series, Weight Management, a Class with ACT. I want to discuss cholesterol in a simple manner, and in a way you can still get something else done today. Our liver makes cholesterol, which looks like spaghetti strings, and our body needs to make this stuff because everything our body makes will need cholesterol to start its synthesis. It is sort of like the flour if you're a baker. When we have the proper cell energy, battery power, we use the energy to fluff up things so they're fluffy and float and ready to sail. That is necessary so we can send that stuff all through our bloodstream like small delivery ships floating to their destination. Fluffy and float. That is good cholesterol, HDL. Importantly, we use that floating cholesterol to make a heart shield to guard our heart. When our cell battery power weakens, we are unable to fluff up all these strings, so they wind up tight like the strings inside a baseball. These will sink. We call this bad cholesterol, LDL. Sinkers, not floaters. Think of a lava lamp. The dense globs might sink and stay down, or bob up and down, but they are not ships sailing to production sites. First, I want everyone to know, when triglycerides are elevated, quit eating sugar. Triglycerides are not affected by the fat that we eat. This is the sugar part of our cholesterol panel. Triglycerides, I call bacon in our blood. I mentioned in an earlier video, insulin converts some sugar into fat. And when the fat hold hands and form fatty chains, they are placed into our bloodstream and we call them triglycerides. They can be used or they can be stored as fuel for later. When the triglycerides are in the blood, they can wrap around the bad cholesterol, like bacon around a fillet. We call this VLDL, or worst cholesterol. It sinks and sticks and plugs up pipes. Here are the facts I want you to know. Our body must have fat and cholesterol. We must have these things so our body functions. Our body makes fat from other stuff when we need it, lipogenesis, but there are 2 fats we cannot make and need to eat to stay alive. Unsaturated omega-3 and omega-6 fats. We make more bad cholesterol sinkers when we eat bad trans and bad saturated fats. Trans fats are common in margarine, bags of chips, cookies, and frozen pizza. The bad saturated fats are commonly found in fatty meats, sausage, cakes, and ice cream. And the omega-3 and 6 fats we must eat to live are found in nuts and oily fish like salmon and tuna, and vegetables like olives and avocados. I do want to mention now, vitamin B2, niacin, will help lower your triglycerides. Facial flushing, sounds like no big deal, can really be intense when taking niacin, but it is over the counter and will help lower triglycerides. Omega-3 fish oil will also help lower triglycerides. Lavazza is a prescription medicine for elevated trigs and contains nothing but fish oil. Over the counter is readily available and less expensive. The statins, we all know, treat elevated cholesterol, help our bodies get rid of the bad cholesterol sinkers, LDL, that we've made. Don't just look at the cholesterol number. Your lab results sheet say total cholesterol should be less than 200. Look at your bad LDL because you want that total to be under 100. If it is greater, you have a lot of lava lamp sinkers. And look at your HDL, good cholesterol. You want your good cholesterol to be over 45, so you get those ships to their construction sites. So a total cholesterol number under 200 may seem, hey, I'm okay. But if your HDL, the good floating cholesterol, is not high enough to make a heart shield, that is a huge problem for cardiovascular risk and vulnerability. Look at your HDL. If it is low, you need to start moving more so your body will make more batteries. Persistent aerobic activity will ultimately put more batteries in your cell, which can fluff up these cholesterol spaghetti strings. There's only one meal plan which will elevate your HDL, good cholesterol, and that is stay under 100 grams of carbs per day. And by the way, under 100 grams of carbs per day will lower your trigs, and that is a twofer, and it's doable and sustainable. Our genetics determine most of our bad cholesterol. We can really be careful with the type of fats we eat and reduce the numbers about 20% regarding our LDL. We can reduce our trigs by watching sugar intake, but even with trigs, there are genetic influences uncontrolled by diet. It all needs to be watched. Heart disease and stroke remain the #1 cause of mortality in this country. And I must say that the longest studied and most recommended diet in academic and medical institutions based on evidence-based conclusions is the Mediterranean diet, which is not considered a low-carb diet. It is a low-fat diet. But unlike the fad, low-fat diets of the 80s, this one is rich in olive oil, allows chicken and fish, but not red meat. Meals include God sugars and a little wine. Evidence-based clinical trials have shown that the Mediterranean diet lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. I tend to focus more on the sugars, less than 100 grams of carbs per day in my practice. I mentioned anything we do to lose weight, we have to continue doing after we lose, or we will be punished with weight gain, rebound, plus more. I tell my patients, if you chew on the phone book and lose weight, you better keep chewing. And they look at me and say, how old are you? What is a phone book? Considering sustainability is key, the meal plan I like to initiate with my patients is eat what you like, change it, and like it, so you can keep doing it, but have boundaries. And I ask them to become sugar smart and stay under 100 grams of carbs per day. The next key I emphasize is a protein palooza. Greater than 120 grams of protein per day for women and 160 grams of protein per day for men. Our basic metabolic rate, BMR, represents the total calories we need every day for all of the energy required for our organ functioning and any movements. For men, the average is 3,000 calories a day. For women, it is 2,000 calories a day. There are ways to precisely measure, and there are formulas used for more individual exactness. Here's the point I want to make. If you burn on the average of 2,000 calories a day and you have extra white stuff, fat, stored in your body, there's only one way to get rid of that white stuff. Remember, that white stuff, albeit unfairly put there, was always put there for storage as fuel for later. So you must eat less calories than what you need so the fat can be used for what it was always intended, to turn into fuel when you run out. So cutting calories under your daily total requirement is paramount, and I think we all get that. Why more calories per day for men over women? God gave men more muscle mass. Perhaps He gave women more brain mass. Summary. We want our motor to run fast and require more fuel than we eat, so our storage units will empty. The most significant thing we can control to affect our metabolic rate is our muscle mass. If you want to eat a lot more, add a little bit of muscle. And if you want to get in a hole and make it seem impossible to lose weight, lose muscle. But here's a spoiler alert. When our bodies lose fat, we also lose muscle. We eat sugar, and some converts into fat for storage. We run out of fuel, and that fat converts into sugar. But when we go from fat to sugar, that can only happen if we provide amino acids for sugar production. And amino acids live in one place in our body, muscle. When you drop calories, you become happy as the fat is used and removed. But in about 2 weeks, everything seems to halt. You don't see it in the mirror, but when that fat left, so did muscle. And suddenly, with a little muscle loss, the BMR or motor speed drops significantly. The calorie drop, which made you lose weight earlier, may become excess calories for a slower motor, and you start gaining weight eating less. And besides the fatigue associated with all of this, that is super frustrating to start gaining weight on less calories. I believe this developed in our ancestors whose survival was threatened with food insecurities. When muscle was lost with fat loss, then weight loss was slowed, enabling more time to regroup. Necessary for ancient ancestors, this is a big roadblock for us, the first generation with alarming obesity. So, let's bring in the weight loss superhero, protein. There are 3 macros, fat, carb, and protein. When we eat fat and carbs, they get into our blood and leave just about as fast as they enter. Proteins are made from an assembly of amino acids. In our intestines, proteins are broken down into their building blocks, and amino acids are taken through the small intestine gates into our bloodstream. But these amino acids hang for a while, which is why protein is the macro that gives us longer satiety. Amino acids which hang in our blood allow hunger signals to rest. So with 120 grams of protein for women, 160 grams for men, we can guarantee amino acids will be hanging in our blood when we move fat to sugar. Our body will grab the ones in our blood and not break down our muscle. Keeping muscle mass while losing weight will also help prevent that you lost weight but you look better before you did look, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. And I would recommend you go to your favorite place, a local store or online store, and buy protein powder concentrate. Even if you're not hungry, drink about 4 juice glass shakes a day. And get a protein mix without sugars. And get one with fiber. Protein concentrates can cause constipation in some, and fiber will reduce that, while also blocking sugar gates. There is so much we all need to know about nutrition, and at this point, I want to recommend a website. It is free and accessible, does not require joining anything, and will not be selling you anything. is a valid resource with so much for anyone who wants help. The Obesity Medical Association. It is not a commercial site, it is an academic site. There are options for anyone for meal and diet selections, and options for commercial programs which may appeal to you, and apps which support accountability, discussions of intermittent fasting, and activities discussing resistant training which help build and support muscle preservation and growth. The Obesity Medical Association can be a fantastic resource for anyone interested. Really smart people put this together. And here is a spoiler alert, which I am not proud. In our medical training, doctors, nurses, allied medical professionals, except nutritionists, get zero training in how to help a patient with planning what to eat. Zero. In my opinion, this is the biggest failure in our health science education. I have read the average time a doctor discusses nutrition with patients is 1 to 3 minutes per visit, and I think that is overestimated. I am not finger pointing, I'm just being transparent with hopes of pointing fingers in a different direction, adding attention to the value of nutrition education for all of us. I do know this, when patients see results with their efforts losing weight, they teach themselves and me a lot. No one wants that stuff returning when the losing fat momentum gets going. I encourage you to check out free and easy to download materials on the Obesity Medical Association webpage. There are abundant tools to help guide your health style changes to create for you a personal path for a higher quality of life. Socrates wisely reminds us, the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Thank you again for watching Weight Management, a class with Act.